This is the BS4 podcast, and I'm your host, Bria Villa. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the BS4 podcast. I am your host, Bria Villa, and I am so excited for you to be here today because we are going to talk about something that honestly I learned in the last couple of years, and I think it's really valuable to know, understand. And once I actually was able to put language around it, I started to categorize my way of thinking into these two buckets. So I can't wait to talk about it. We are going to talk about growth mindset. And if you've never heard of growth mindset before, don't worry, I got you. We're talking about it today. But today the B is for boundless because we're going to talk about how growth mindset takes the boundaries off of what you're able to achieve, learn, and it's really just through the lens and perspective of having a growth mindset. So I am someone for a really long time. I believe that people are just born with certain innate skills, which is true. Some of us are born very in tune with our creative side. Some of us are very analytical, logical. Some people are just naturally gifted musicians or artists. Some people are just really good at math or are able to take really complex things and simplify them easily in their brains. So there's for sure innate abilities, talents that people have that they're just born with. But I am someone who thought that we were actually just limited to those things that we were born with. We aren't, by the way. I really thought that okay, I'm someone who is not great at math. I always struggled to understand it as a concept. The idea of or the logical aspect of it made sense to me, but numbers, numbers, we don't get along. We don't go together at all. Okay, that's actually very limiting for me to say. I'm working on that. But I just was always someone who was oh, there's people who are just innately really good at that, or their brains are wired to be better at that than other people. There's truth in that. But where fixed mindset comes into play is exactly what I just said, which is, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not good at it, or I'm not naturally gifted, therefore I won't be good at it. And it's literally not true. So there's a book called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, I believe. And this book talks to you about the innate abilities that we have and being born with those, etc., but then how to take things a step further and really learn to grow and expand your mindset. So I'm going to define both because I think it's really important obviously, to understand the definitions of both. So a fixed mindset is those who believe that their intelligence, their talents, and personalities are fixed traits that you cannot grow. They believe that they were born with a certain level of skill and ability and were unable to improve on those skills and abilities over time. But a growth mindset, so wait, pause. Fixed mindset is basically saying the things that I was born with, that's just all I got, basically. If I'm someone who isn't good at math or I'm someone who isn't good at art, I just believe that I can't do those things. If I'm someone who's shy and I stay in a fixed mindset, I'll live the rest of my life thinking that I'm shy and that I can't grow to not be shy or grow out of that or grow in confidence. And so growth mindset, the definition of growth mindset is those who hold a growth mindset believe that they can get better at something by dedication of time, effort, and energy. Working on one's flaws and the process, not the outcome, are the most important components. With time and practice, people with a growth mindset believe that they can achieve what they want. And I read this book by Carol Dweck, and there's actual case studies and scenarios in which people went from having a fixed mindset to establishing a growth mindset and actually grew in their capabilities, their skill set, the things that they tried, that they just started to open their mind more around. There's people who were artists and didn't think that they could be very analytical, and then practiced being more analytical and took time with it, and then eventually started to master a new skill, and vice versa. There's people who literally had no artistic ability. Like, I'm talking, they drawing stick figures on these sketchbooks, and that's the best they got. And with time and practice, they actually start to like be able to draw realism, like true faces that actually look really, really good. But they just didn't think that they had that ability. And so growth mindset is really cool because it's once you start to understand what it is, you also start to catch yourself when you're thinking in a fixed mindset or when you're thinking in a growth mindset. So to give you a couple examples, especially in business, we have this idea of like, oh, this is the way something's always been. That is a fixed mindset. Like, this is the way it's always been, so we're just going to continue to do it this way because this is the way that it's always been. That is a fixed mindset. That is thinking, oh, it's already set up for me. It can't go beyond my way of thinking, or it can't go beyond the parameters that were set around it. No. You can grow in anything. And I actually started to practice this myself because I like firmly believed two things about myself. I believed that I wasn't artistic. So I thought that while I had this like creative mind, that I wasn't good at actualizing that in an artistic way. I'm putting air quotes around artistic because art is like subjective. Oh, it's actually funny. I'm wearing a shirt right now that says art. Tune in on YouTube and you'll see I'm literally wearing a shirt that says art, and I did not mean to do that. But I didn't think I was artistic. And to me, I defined artistic as like something you do with your hands, whether that's like playing an instrument or painting, drawing. And so that's like a fixed mindset that I had, that I wasn't born a creative, or I didn't think that I was a creative. And after I learned about growth mindset, I really started to think about that differently. And come to find out, I am actually really creative. I've always been really creative. I just put labels around it because of the fixed mindset that I had. And so I started to practice just different forms of creativity. And I started painting. I started creating like TikToks, basically, like recording, editing, putting things together. And then I also became weirdly obsessed with like interior design and also tap back into fashion. These are all forms of art, just because it's not necessarily in the labels that I originally thought art was, doesn't mean that it isn't art, and doesn't mean that it isn't a creative outlet. And so I started to like really tap into these few things, right? I'm like, all right, I'm going to start painting more. I'm going to start thinking about the way that I dress and just get more creative with that, whether that be accessories or new colors or new styles. And then I also, there's something else I said. Can't remember what it was, but I started to do these things, and come to find out I'm actually super creative. Oh, interior design. That's what it was. And so I like designed my whole home, and I like think of all these new different ideas that I can design my home better as. And I just feel like it's now a reflection of me, but it's an ongoing process. But in my mind for so long, I was like, oh, I would need to like hire an interior designer, or like, I'm just not good at that. I also thought that I had like a lot more boundaries on fashion and what I could wear, what I couldn't wear, what was cute, what wasn't cute. And honestly, that's all also subjective. And I just decided what I thought was cute, and now I freaking wear it. I don't care. But it's like an artistic form for me. Even down to like nail designs. So I think like nails, hair, tattoos, all the things are forms of art. I all my nail sets I've pretty much like designed myself over the last year. I have very simple nails right now. They're just French because that's my go-to. But Usually I do like some crazy design and I've come up with it myself. Like I've just pulled inspiration from different things and put it all together and they always turn out so dope and it's like a form of creative expression for me. Even my tattoos, I'm in the middle of doing my leg sleeve right now and I'm like sleeved completely on my arm and I have the right side of my back done and all my tattoos but specifically my leg, which I'm really excited about and I can't wait to finish. My leg specifically, like I designed the artwork on my leg. Like I literally photoshopped artwork that is now tattooed on my leg because I didn't see the art that I was looking for already existing, so I created it myself. So a lot of the art that's on my leg, I actually designed myself. Fixed mindset would have told me I'm not an artist, I'm not creative. That's not something that I can do. But growth mindset taught me that I can. I just have to try. And so now I think of like the world in these lenses. Same thing with like business and numbers. Like I said, your girl ain't that good at math. Okay. I own it. But I've gotten so much better. And at first, my fixed mindset was like, oh, I'll never be good at math. Like I was already always a good student. Like I always got really good grades throughout the entirety of my schooling. I actually graduated with my bachelor's and on the president's list and like with extra cords and all the things. Like your girl did good in school. But the one subject that whooped my ass was math. I could not get it down. I don't know what it was. I tried to get tutoring. I tried to cheat off people in class. I'm not gonna lie. I would ask like friends or people in class to like help me, teach me. And I don't know why I just like I just struggled with it so bad. So then I get into the business world and I'm like, Bria, like, girl, you need to know math. You need to know math because you need to know the numbers of your business. You need to know how to track revenue. You need to know how to track gross margins, like all the things. And I was like, how the hell am I going to learn this when I'm not good at math? Okay. But that was fixed mindset. I was like, I'm not going to be good at this. I'm just going to have to like find ways to outsource this, which is like a good level of like self-awareness to have is like when certain things aren't your strengths, figure out a way to outsource it, work with someone else for sure. I recommend that. But I also didn't want to limit myself. And so once I learned about growth mindset, I was like, okay, I don't need to be a mathematician, whatever the hell they call it. I don't need to be one of those. Okay. I just need to at least get a little bit better at it for myself to show myself that I can grow. So I started to like really look at the revenue of the business that I was running, the consulting practice that I'm in, and like start to track those numbers that way and conceptualize it differently instead of like 2 + 2 = 4, like basic algebra or calculus. I started to think of it through the lens of business and I've gotten better at math, y'all. Like I have really started to understand like profit margins and all these things that I just did not think that I would know before. And now I know that. I'm not like I said, your girl, don't ask me to do any type of formula. I'm not doing it. I got Excel for that. But I started to understand math more. And it really was just because of my mindset around it. So to me, growth mindset is just one of those things that's so invaluable for you to have. And this also comes with just like cultural norms, things that you just feel like have always been a certain way, or your family operates a certain way and you just think that this is the only way to do it, or like you've had a belief system your whole life and you haven't explored outside of that. I hate to break it to you, but that's a fixed mindset. Like, it's really good to dig in and ask questions and want to know why and explore things more and expand your mind. Staying in what you know just because it's what you know is a fixed mindset. So lean into a growth mindset. Wanted to share like a few ways that you can embrace growth mindset more. And it's honestly really, really simple. One, you just have to know what it is. So now you know. But also, if you want to dig into it more, if you want to do some research, look it up. There's a ton of like case studies and stuff about growth mindset and the impact of it, but also read the book by Carol Dweck. But another thing is just embracing challenges. So when you have an opportunity presented to you that just feels really challenging, a fixed mindset would be like, okay, I'm just gonna like, this sucks, or like, I don't know how I'm gonna figure this out. Like, here we go. And a growth mindset is like, what is this going to teach me? And leaning into that from the moment that you're presented with a challenge. And I actually started to do this more recently. I feel like for a while, I'm an ambivert. So I'm not an introvert, I'm not an extrovert. I'm like right in between, where I can be totally extroverted in certain settings, but I take a substantial amount of time to recharge. Like, being extroverted and talking to a ton of people doesn't give me energy the way a true extrovert would, but I'm also not completely introverted where I'm like totally to myself. I feel like I'm a blend of both. So yeah, so I'm an ambivert, and I for a while was feeling that I was introverted because social situations would like drain me. Like, I would spend time out and I would enjoy being out or like being in these settings, but I would be so tired. And so it honestly caused me, like, I didn't know how to like recharge. It caused me to start thinking that I'm an introvert, and it caused me to start like pulling back. And so then I started to dread going places. And I started to get this fixed mindset of like, I'm always tired when I go out, or I'm always tired when I'm in these social settings, or they give me anxiety, which is true. Your girl does have anxiety diagnosed. Okay. But I just started to feel like that I can't do these types of environments anymore because I'm just an introvert. Like, it's just not for me. And what I started to like flip my mindset around is, it's not that I don't enjoy those things. It's just I didn't know how to recharge afterwards. And so instead of going into it with a mindset of like, oh my God, I'm going to be drained later, I shifted it and started thinking like, okay, I'm going to like gain something from this experience. Like, I'm going to learn something from someone while I'm out and about, or I'm going to have one conversation that's going to be worth my time here. So I like flipped it from this fixed mindset to now this growth mindset of, I was starting to go out seeking either a network connection or a perspective, or honestly, like laughs, like just straight enjoyment, and knowing that I may get that out of these interactions. And it started to change the way that I like feel about myself and even define myself. So I was like, no, I'm actually not an introvert. I'm an ambivert. Like, I actually do enjoy being around people, but I just have to take a good amount of time to recharge in order for me to get the best out of it and not feel like I'm overextending myself. And so, like, literally, this mindset recently has been so empowering for me, because now I'm starting to like walk in every room and be like, there's something cool that I can get out of this. But I was living in a fixed mindset for years, y'all. Like, this wasn't a short amount of time. Like, literally since I've moved to Atlanta, and I moved to Atlanta 3 years ago, like, you would not catch me outside of this house. You would not catch me off this couch. I lived here for real. Like, I was stuck in this space where I just didn't want to do anything because I felt like if anytime I did anything, I would be exhausted by it. But now it's worth it to me because I'm starting to gain these new perspectives, or I always walk away with something new that I didn't know before. So I feel like that's a good way that like growth mindset has seeped into my day-to-day life. Like, it's actually changed the way that I live, the way that I think. And a few other things that I think are important with growth mindset is valuing effort. So value the effort that you put into yourself, but also value the effort that other people put in. Um, Not everything is going to be exactly how you want it. That is literally life, right? And not everybody's going to have the same mindset as you. You're going to run into a lot of people who have a fixed mindset. It's important though to value the effort that you put in to shifting your mindset, and also the value that people put in to show up, right? And I feel like that will substantially help the way that you view the world and not feel like so fixed on certain thought processes, because there's something that you can learn from everyone. And the last thing is like learning how to take criticism. This is something that I definitely am going to be working on because I'm a perfectionist, because I feel like I hate disappointing people. I really want to work on taking criticism. Like, I think that I'm pretty good at it, especially in business, because there's just no way that you're not going to get feedback. Like, anytime that you're, especially in consulting, like I am helping people create visions and then I'm helping drive that vision through some sort of implementation. And there's going to be times that you try to implement something and it simply doesn't work, or it's not effective for the person who needs it. And they're going to give you that feedback. They're going to say, this doesn't work. You could have thought it was a brilliant idea. And most of the time I do think my ideas are brilliant, but you have to learn how to take feedback. And I get feedback so much that I feel like I'm in a better space with that now. But something I still am trying to work on is taking criticism. And that comes with a growth mindset. That comes with leaning in and saying, I don't know everything. I don't have the answers to everything. There may be better ways to do this than the way that I am thinking of it. That is growth mindset. Fixed mindset is like, I know it, and if it doesn't work, there's no other way. Or my way is the best way. Sometimes it ain't. Like, sometimes your way is not the best way. Sometimes my way is not the best way. I hate to say it because I'm a Scorpio and I just think that I always am right. Okay. But I'm not. I've learned that. So taking criticism really helps with being able to like have a growth mindset, apply the stuff that you learn from criticism, and it'll really like change the way that you operate, and you'll see so much success from doing that. And also you'll just learn so much more about yourself, honestly. It's really helped me. So I'll leave it with growth mindset is freedom. Like true freedom of being open-minded to what life, people, experiences have to teach you. Whereas fixed mindset is limiting. It puts you in a box. And if you don't notice that you're in a box, you will live in those four walls forever. And there's so much more outside of it. And I don't think that anybody wants to live in those four walls forever. Shoot, if ignorance is bliss for you and you're comfortable in that space, that is your journey. But for me, I think it's really important to embrace what this world has to offer and know that like you are not the center of everything. There's so much that you can learn from other people with different experiences, and you can grow. And you're not limited to the beliefs that you've created about yourself. If you at a young age thought that you couldn't do something, but you're an adult now, try that thing that you thought you couldn't do. Try it. I guarantee you, you may not be good at it. I'm prefacing that. You may not be good at it, but you can do it. You just have to try. So growth mindset, so key. I recommend you read the book. Carol Dweck does not sponsor me. Carol Dweck, if you listen to this, sponsor me. But definitely read the book. I think it's super impactful. I hope that this message was impactful to you. And if you can, take a little screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your Instagram story, and talk about one thing that you want to have more of a growth mindset around, or how you interpret growth mindset. And make sure that you tag me. Tag the B is for podcast on Instagram. And then also make sure that you check out this video on YouTube if you're listening on audio. And I'm so excited to see y'all next week. We're going to have great topics coming up. We're going to have some special guests, which I'm excited for. So stay tuned. But thank you so much. Love y'all.